Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Felicia. I hope you're doing well. So today is just a quick update on my temperature blanket. Guys, woo, lordy. I have finally made it to the halfway mark for the year. And you guys give me grace because you remember I started my temperature blanket in March. So I'm behind, and so I will give myself until March of next year to be complete, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. But I did decide that I wanted to give you guys some updates on where I'm at in the process, as well as because we're getting close to... Hold on one second, guys. Hey y'all, sorry about that. So I just wanted to kind of record where we are in the process and then kind of make sure that you guys are getting ready to start your temperature blankets for this year coming up. So if you're still interested in doing it, there are some obviously cons. I've discussed those, but there are some pros to it. And I just want to give you guys a few more pointers that I've learned along the way since I'm now about 6 months into the process. Okay. Let me backtrack. Temperature blanket is a blanket that is created, it's a crochet blanket that is created using the temperature in your area. While there are different variations of this project, that's the main concept. Usually you're going to use the temperature of the day, and then you're going to use a color that you've already predetermined, and you're going to crochet a blanket based off of that. I did take some notes here on my phone, so I'm going to try to be like more precise about it, but also these are not in any particular order. Just as I was working, I kind of started jotting some things down that might be helpful to you all, since it's about time for you guys to get started. And I will start with that being tip number 1. Go ahead and get started. Make your plan now. It's just November, January. Go ahead and get started. I don't think there's anything wrong with being about a month behind on the temperature blanket, because it gives you an opportunity to really plan. Like, it gives you an opportunity to know what you got coming for the month, so you'll know what type of yarn you need to have, things like that. So if you get ready to go January 1, you can start the process, right? Go ahead and start thinking about the yarn colors that you want, the type of stitch that you're going to use, the type of hook size you want, the pattern that you want. Go ahead and have that ready to go. Even start buying some of your yarn. But 2 or 3 weeks behind, a month behind, I think that's perfect, because, like, again, it gives you an opportunity to be better prepared, and you'll have all the yarn you need for that month. Okay, so that's my first tip. Go ahead and get started. Don't wait. Don't be late like me. You just feel a little behind. Okay, if you can, try to buy yarn from the same yarn brand. So for instance, I'm using a combination of Big Twist value yarn, and I'm also using Red Heart Super Saver. If I were to do it again, I would probably go with the same brand, and let me tell you why. Red Heart Super Saver has approximately 364 yards, okay? And whereas Big Twist value yarn has 380 yards, okay? So I have been able to get about 10 rows completed with this yarn, and probably about 12 rows, or maybe like 11 and a half rows completed with this yarn, okay? That's not that big of a deal. However, if I'm looking ahead, because you remember, guys, I started my project late, so I have the luxury of knowing that, say for instance, I'm currently working June, so I already know what's July looking like, August is looking like, blah blah blah. What that means is I would know then that I need 10 rows of this one, right? Because in the month of July, my temperatures were between 70 and 80. I think that's the range for this color. But then I know I had 10 days of this, which means I would be able to do 10 rows. I would only need 1 skein. Does that make sense? You would always know that this yarn is going to get you 10 rows. See? So you don't have to know that, but I think that's just a tip that I wish I would have known ahead of time, just because it gave me a little bit more understanding of how much yarn I needed. Also, the textures of these yarns are different. So the Big Twist Value yarn, even though they're both 4-weight yarns, they're both acrylic, this yarn is a lot softer. Red Heart is a little bit more durable. It has a little bit more of a roughness to it, and this one is a little softer, and you can kind of tell that throughout the project. So for that reason also, I would stick with the same brand. If I were to do it all over again, I would probably go only with the Big Twist Value, just because I like the consistency and the feel of this. However, I think this one's just a little bit cheaper. It's a little bit more accessible. I can get this from Walmart, whereas with this one I can only get at my Joann's Fabric. So another thing that I found very helpful is to set yourself small goals. As you start working this project, it becomes really big, really daunting, and it feels like, wow, is this ever going to end? And I always found joy in moving from color to color. So when I had the opportunity to go from, you know, this color to this color to this color to this, you know what I'm saying? That always brings me joy, because it's like, oh, okay, finally making progress. But if you're not, for instance, right now I'm working June, as you guys know, there has been a series of days in the month of June that I am using just this color. So what I've had to do is I've set myself some small goals where I will fold my blanket into thirds, and I'll work a third of the blanket, a third, and a third. And so I would say to myself, okay, Felicia, get to the second portion and then give yourself a break, or get to this and give yourself a break. That way it kind of felt like I'm goal oriented. As you guys, I think I've said that before, I'm goal oriented. So because I've set myself this goal, then I feel like, okay, even if something calls me away from the project, I'm going to get to this portion and then I'm going to stop. So if you kind of set yourself a goal, use your stitch markers, mark off where you want to go from here to here, fold your blanket in half. That kind of helps the project along as well. Another thing that I found helpful, which is completely, I'm sure, me, this might not help anybody else, but I like to work into the next row. So say for instance my goal was to get to the end of the row, right? Instead of me just ending it, putting my stitch marker right here and ending it, I will go ahead and, you know, chain one, turn more work, and keep working until I get to about here. Okay, what that does for me, and might help you, is it makes me feel like when I go to pick the project up again, I don't have the whole row to do, even if it's just this little bit that I've completed. Because remember, I'm dividing this blanket into thirds. This is halfway through my third of the blanket, if that makes sense. Okay, so setting small goals. Another thing that I did is sometimes what I'll do to catch myself up is I set myself a timer. So I'll say to myself, okay, I created a playlist, I'll listen to these 6 songs. When those songs are over, I'm done. Or I'll say, okay, 30 minutes, work until you're finished, and then you're done. So setting yourself a timer, creating playlists, watching a movie, it kind of all helps the process go. Okay. I don't even know what tip number I'm on, maybe 4 or 5. But guys, take pictures. Even if you're not like on social media, you don't have a TikTok, Instagram, take pictures of your progress for yourself. Because again, as you're doing it, I honestly didn't realize the difference between February and March, or March to April. It just felt like, oh my gosh, like, is it growing? It was, but because in the very beginning, it's like you're making a never-ending scarf, you don't feel that growth initially. So yeah. Moving on, I'm working my yarn from the center. It makes it easier for me to pull the yarn from the center here. But I did a short, I think I posted here, I might have posted on TikTok. I try to post everything on TikTok here. So anyway, sometimes when you're pulling from the center, the yarn starts to collapse in on itself. And so I found it helpful to make a yarn cake like this. So if you have a yarn winder, it doesn't take long, maybe like 5 or 6 minutes, depending on how much yarn you have left. Spin it into a cake like this. It makes it a lot more portable, a lot easier for you to work without having to worry about the yarn tangling on itself. So if you have a yarn winder, you don't need the umbrella swift, you just need the winder itself. Go ahead and wind this up into a cake, and then it makes it a lot easier for you to do the project. Okay, so that's another tip. Another thing that I think is helpful is to take a picture of your guide. Now, I've been lucky enough to be able to keep this, and it's tattered now, and I use it to make notes and everything. But take a picture of this on your phone, so you'll always have you'll have the knowledge with you. Also, take a picture of the temperature page that you're using for the day. That just helps as well. So take a picture, so you don't lose anything. Stitch markers are your friends in this project. Stitch markers are great to kind of make sure that your hard work doesn't come unraveled when you're done with the row, as well as it helps you set guides for yourself. So I've used stitch markers throughout this entire project. Get yourself some stitch markers. It is very helpful. What the blanket is looking like. I'm going to stand up and I'll post a picture at the end, but this is what it's looking like again. And I also think that I posted on my TikTok, or maybe even on here, the way this lays on a king size bed. So it's really already really big. And I only have 6 more months to go. I've already used a total of about 15 skeins of yarn, so I'll probably need another 15 to finish out the entire project. And so yeah, keep that in mind. This is a labor of love. It does cost money to do this because you do have to have the yarn. The yarn can be pricey. My suggestion is to always get the yarn when it's on sale. You know, you get it. And then also, just one more exciting thing, I finally was able to introduce my last color. Let me get close so you guys can see. This color here. Do you see it? Yeah. So we made it to June, and in June, this color was my teal 81 and above. So remember, because I'm doing the average, obviously I'm in Florida, it's going to get super hot. We've even had 100 days already, 100-degree days, but average, it hasn't averaged over 81 degrees. But it finally did, so I think for the month of June and July, I'll be able to use this teal green color, which I'm super excited about because I think it's super pretty. So yeah, I've now used every color with the exception of this color right here. And I seriously doubt I'll get the opportunity to use that color because this is for my temperature range of 31 to 40 degrees. And while it does get cold here, it's gotten all the way into the teens. It has not stayed that on the average. So unfortunately, I won't be able to probably use this color unless December surprises me and we get some really cold days that average 31 to 40 degrees. But so far, the coldest it's gotten has been 40 degrees on average. In the very beginning, so this would have been like the months of January and February, we were able to pull in that dark brown color. But as you can see, it didn't stay throughout the entire project. Once we got past February, it was just January, February, I think we had one time in February, 3 times in February, it hasn't dropped below 30. So unless December surprises me and we get some super cold weather, the probability of me actually ever using this, which is a really pretty color, I probably won't ever get to use it. But that's it, guys. I hope you guys are still working. Go ahead and get started planning for 2024 if you haven't already. And if you're still working for 2023, just keep going. Also, bonus tip, weave in your ends as you go along. That's just one less thing you have to worry about at the end of the project. I think that's it. I'm sure I'll be back to do another update, maybe another 3 months, but this is it. I will stand up at the end of the video and I will put you a big video so you can see how much this has grown. But we are now moving into June and we have actually gotten a few days done in June. So hopefully by the time, I don't even know. We're just going to keep working. I hope you guys have a great day. I will see you all in my next video. Thanks for watching.